And what's up, y'all? It's your boy Najee Ricci here, back on Talk to Me Talk Show, where we got another wonderful episode with a very, very special guest, friend of mine, mentor. Man, the list can go on for days. And I can honestly say I wouldn't be here in this position I am as far as education if it wasn't for him, for real, because I have a communications degree. So I'm not supposed to be doing anything in education. But the fact that I'm here and the mentoring program and everything that you've done as far as Fayetteville and even branching out and expanding, I just want to start off this episode by saying thank you, bro. Like, thank you.
Absolutely.
So definitely. And so I guess kind of like we're gonna just jump straight into just normal rap session. So for me, I guess I brought you up here because I wanted to talk a little bit about like roots, mentoring, and mentoring as a whole and how you see it for me or how you see it for you. Because for me, it was just like when I got into roots, it was a thing of, all right, I'm coming here, I'm gonna just work with some kids and that's it. And I'm gonna go back to my dorm and I'm gonna go back to class and just enjoy my day and just do whatever next need to be done. But then it got to a point where I'm going one day out of the week. Now I'm going 2 days out of the week. Now I'm going every other day. Now it's sad to say, but I'm skipping class some days and I'm going to the school and I'm with the kids. And my professor literally asked me, like, hey, Nigel, you did come to class today, what's going on and stuff. And I'm telling them, like, hey, I'm over here at the school, working with the kids and stuff like that. And they understood where I was coming from. But at the same time, it's just like, it was so much deeper for me than just going there and being with the kids. It was really going there, changing a life, changing a mindset, changing a perspective, and then changing my mind, my ideas, and how I want to further myself and grow for me. So I guess my question is, first one, what inspired you to start off with Roots? Like, how did you get it started?
Respect. Appreciate you allowing me to be on the platform, bro. Again, quick intro for those I don't know. Marcus Jenkins, graduate of Fayetteville State, 2018, was able to create Roots. We'll definitely chop it up more about that. Outside of that, I have Jenkins Empowerment Consulting, which is keynote speaking, life coaching, professional development, consultation, all that good stuff. And then we also have Roots Mentoring and the 9 to 5, which is business consulting. So all about being an asset, man. That's what I'm all about. But again, let's dive into Roots. So Roots, again, is an acronym for Regiment of Overriding Statistics. So my why behind it, just being real blunt and real with y'all, man. I got jumped out of club my freshman year, and it really had me kind of on a road where I could go left or right. Right, we could retaliate, which could lead to this specific path, or we could take this L and use it as a lesson and work to impact the next generation. So this ignorance doesn't continue to happen, and I chose the latter. So that allowed me to really leverage my network at Fayetteville State to build out. So as Nigel mentioned, mentorship is so vital to me, but I had an awesome mentor in Jeff May, who is the youth development coordinator of Cumberland County Schools. Plugged me in, used the finance to get an internship, got paid for the opportunity. And again, we were able to really build out Roots. But I know we'll dive into more of the weeds, but that's just a quick synopsis, man.
So what is mentoring for you? Because everybody, we talked a little bit about like everybody got their own idea and style of mentoring. What's your type of style, I guess, of mentoring?
Nah, that's right. Bro, you know this, but to our point with Roots, bro, is that connection. Like our connection with our youth is so real. And the relatability, right? So just give me a little bit more of a further diagnosis of Roots. We have college students from Fayetteville State and Methodist who mentor the quote unquote at promise youth who range from elementary to high school. The reason we do that is, for instance, Nigel was to walk up on a kid, they're rapping, singing a song. Nigel could probably finish the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? So we can relate in that regard, but Nigel's also going to pull up in a suit. Nigel's also going to pull up fly. Nigel's going to pull up as his present self, but he's going to show them code switching in real life, right? So again, for me, when it comes to mentorship, is relatability. Oftentimes people talk over their mentees' heads, right? You got to meet them where they are. Nobody's going to be able to really in turn digest that information if you understand it from a relative standpoint, right? Oftentimes mentors are quote unquote higher than their mentees. But again, being able to deliver that message where it doesn't go over their head is probably the number one component for me. 2 is having fun. But that goes hand in hand with being relatable, man. Like I know Nigel can attest to this, man. We generally kick it with our kids, man. We have fun. We get lit. We turn up. We do all that good stuff, but we do it in a professional manner. And again, we show them in real life the college student perspective, but we also again meet them where they are, and they show it to them from something that they can digest, but also show them a lens in which they may not have been exposed to.
One of my favorite, well, I'll say two of my favorite trips. My first one, it has to be when Algebra Wilkins came. No, let's jump back. I got three now. I'm gonna cut them short. But my first one is when I think we had the elementary school, middle school, when they had came to the school, and we took them around the school and stuff like that. And it was like, oh, I like the campus. It looks so cool and stuff like that. But then when we got in the cap, it's just like everybody's mind changed. And it's like, oh, yo, look at this calf. And then we're sitting here with the kids, we walking around and stuff. And I got one student that slipped away from me. And I'm thinking in my head, like, all right, hold on, just lost the kid. Where'd he go? I look behind me. He over here at the cereal bar talking to one of the girls. And I'm like, yo, she like 20 something. He's like really over here, really spitting hard game at her. And I'm like, man, that right there was like, I don't know. I guess from that day right there really made me want to continue on with mentoring and really seeing what it was and what's more in it. And then from there on, it's just like more to college tours when we bought Algebra Wilkins to Fayetteville, and we went to the gym and stuff like that. And then we went to the dorms and let them see the dorms. And that was another thing for them, seeing like, all right, I've been to Fayetteville State, because a lot of the people in Fayetteville, they've been to Fayetteville State, they've been on the campus and stuff like that. But as far as student-wise, they don't know what the inside of Fayetteville State looks like. Yeah. So really giving them that perspective and just outside of that party aspect, I guess. And that's what it was for me.
Yeah.
And third one for me, what would be my third one? My third one will probably be the one event that we did with Wilkins where we barbershop talk. Matter of fact, the barbershop talk and the big event where we had the guest speakers and things like that, and having the principal in there with us too. And that was something different for me, because the principal, like, she was cool. Like, that was my main thing. Everybody loved her. But the way that her work was set up, she was so involved with the school and things that was going on in the background that she wasn't really able to be involved with the students like that. So having that conversation with some of the students and the female students as well, they'll say like, oh, she cool, but she don't talk to us and she don't really like us. She don't want to build that connection with us. But then you had that conversation with her and she's like, no, I actually do like these girls. Like, I want to do more with them, but I can't do as much as I want to. And I guess that's where we came in and basically bridged that gap for her. So when we had that event and she actually took that 5 minutes to step away from the office right quick and really sit in and see what some of the students had to say, and like seeing her cry, seeing the other students cry, and then all of them just come together and hug, bro, that was a life-changing moment for me. And I think that right there is where it sealed it. And that's when I was just like, yeah, this is way more than what it is. Like, way more.
Nah, bro, I feel that. But to your point, man, I really think it boils down to the exposure. That was one thing we did a great job of. Again, giving them real life scenarios, real life situations, being able to shed transparency on our journey, that really help them understand and connect the dots. Because again, the youth in which we were servicing, bro, like when it comes to trauma, when it comes to neglect, when it comes to abuse, when it comes to, they have stories. These are young kids, but they live the lives of many adults past, you know what I'm saying? So being able to meet them where they are, but also be able to expose them to more positive outlets, man, that's what it's all about. And we're able to do that through what we call our pull-out sessions then, which are now our real talk sessions now. And again, it's exactly what it says, man, real talk. We really sit down and we really rap on it. Bro, like, what was your favorite session? As far as like, you mentioned those, but like what specific topic? You know what I'm saying? Do you remember a pull-out session or a real talk session you had with the youth that really stood out?
I think one pull-out or one barbershop talk. I'll take it back to our first barbershop talk with me and Jared, where we just literally like put together in our head, like, all right, we taking it from the classroom now. We're going to find another room. We literally found a room in like 5 minutes and was like, all right, cool, we're going to go to the library. As the librarian, like, she didn't want us in there, but we was just like, look, man, we trying to do this little session, like 10, 15 minutes. And literally that 10, 15 minutes turned into, I think it was like an hour that we were in there. And like they had missed like a whole nother class because I didn't know they had another class. Ain't nobody say nothing to me. Like it was just a thing. Like we were just in there talking about I think the conversation was life choices and changes. And life choices and changes was like, what choices are you making right now in your life? What choices do you want to change? And what things are you doing in life right now that you aren't noticing need to be changed? And really having a conversation with them. Those guys like, man, yeah, I be doing this and I be doing that. But then, all right, now you trying to be cool. But then when we come in here in this barbershop talk now is, oh yeah, bro, I see what you mean. So now it's like really like, I'm not trying to pull that thug character out of nobody, but I'm really trying to get them to see like, you don't got to be this thug all the time. You don't have to play this hard character, this hard role. And that comes back to another thing for me is about like the type of mentoring style. I'll tell you another thing is false mentoring. False mentoring for me is like, false mentoring for me is like when you have to lie to relate. And that's the thing that you said about like being able to relate with the students and stuff like that because of our age, the type of situation, things that we've been through, the area in which we grew up and stuff like that. But then you got your false mentors who never been through these situations, never lived that type of life. And I'm coming in here telling the kid like, oh yeah, I know you've been through. I've been there before. I can attest to that and I can help you get through that. But the whole time you've never been through that in your life. You know somebody who had. And I would rather you tell a kid that you know somebody who's been through that situation versus you telling them yourself. Because now you building a what I like to call a false relationship. Because that moment that you do something and they realize, oh, this lying. And now they can't trust you. They don't want to work with you. And most important, they don't want to listen to you. So you can't guide people off of false mentoring.
Nah, that's beyond true. That's probably the worst thing you could do for a kid. Again, a lot of kids been lied to. People have made false commitments, things of that nature. So one thing that we're huge on is the actual personal accountability within our specific team. Again, if we say we're gonna do something, we're gonna do it. We ain't gonna be just another person to cheat you out of, you know what I'm saying, a false promise by any means. So I definitely, but I want to kind of revert back to the conversation we had with you and Jared. Right. One thing that we're very intentional about is actually building on the mentors too. I know you really just hit on it, man. You were able to really build and evolve throughout the process of having this conversation. So talking to those young bucks about their goals and are they aligning with them based on their actions? I know there was a lot of personal reflection that came with that, with you speaking, you know what I'm saying? And that was one thing, even when I played my sophomore year at Fairfield State, it did for me. Because even in the midst of Cleveland, like my daughter was born the next year, you know what I'm saying? So we doing everything pocket. I got a little A at the crib. I got like, bro, wearing a lot of different hats, but I saw my evolution. I remember every day on camp, I was damn near in a suit and tie. I remember my freshman year, I used to see people do it like, yo, y'all corny, but like now I do it from my 9 to 5. So it's like everything, you know, aligned that much more. Would you say that was the case for you as well?
I think my thing was like coming in for not just mentoring, but me, I'll take it back to high school. For me, when I was in high school, I did a program called Fair Society. And for anybody that's familiar with like Kappa League and stuff like that, like high school fraternities and all that other stuff, not a battalion, but like an actual high school fraternity. I was in a high school fraternity my junior year. And when we came in, like doing the research, it was like, all right, I'm about to join this high school fraternity under Alpha Phi Alpha. So I don't know nothing at this time. I don't know nothing about a fraternity. Well, I don't know nothing about Alpha right then and there. But from looking at like the pictures and videos and research and stuff that we had to do, it's like I'm seeing these dudes like clean, crisp, like bow ties, ties. So I started doing it in high school. And I remember the craziest thing I got asked in high school was like, yo, you got court today? And I'm like, what? Like it was one of the craziest things. And it was crazy because now at that time, if you were in high school, and I heard somebody say this too, if you were in high school or middle school at the time and you wearing a suit, you either got court or you were an athlete.
Got you.
and it was crazy because most of the time you got to think about it. If you're in high school, middle school, most of the time, like you gonna stunt, of course. You're gonna always dress out, but you not coming to school in no 3-piece, no double-breasted suit with no tie and no lapel. Like you're not stepping like that. And if you are, it's for an occasion. But I'm doing it throughout the week. So when I get to college and I do it, and then I start doing it with the high school students and the middle school students and stuff like that, and they start seeing it now, they're like, all right, maybe I kind of want to put on a tie today, or maybe I kind of want to put on a button shirt instead of putting on this hoodie. So now I'm kind of pulling you out of your element by showing you another side of me, because I'm gonna always be the dude with the hoodie and the shorts at the end of the day, but I'm still gonna be the person in the bow tie with the boom. So it's like you gonna get either or, all depending on who you trying to be with me.
See, that's tough, because my situation wasn't nothing like that, bro. Again, seeing black men in a suit and tie was church or funeral, and that was just about it. You know what I'm saying? Outside of court, but I didn't even really consider that component. So again, coming to Fayetteville State, seeing black men in Maseratis and so much black excellence, you know what I'm saying? It really inspired a lot within me. But also, on the contrary, getting jumped my freshman year and being like, yo, like, what's really going on? I see all this black excellence, but I still see all this chaos within our community. And that's what really, again, helped me solidify wanting to make an impact to Roots going forward. But to the last point, to answer your original question, just as far as what components come with good mentoring, last one we didn't really hit on it, just listening, bro. And that's one thing you got to do. You hit on it, I hit on it subconsciously, but being able to sit down, shut up, and hear somebody out. Because a lot of times kids just want somebody to hear them out. They don't feel like they're often heard, so that's why they don't really express. But again, giving them some game and then sit back and listen, ask for their feedback, their thoughts. And I think that's why I know that's one thing that was definitely helpful and really instilled within you. And I got a lot of feedback from mentees as well, man. Like, bro, you really want to rap and you really want to hear them out. And that was one thing that definitely showed me the leadership ability within you. But I think you always innately had. But that inner finesse was battling with what said actually wanting to put in the work. And that's one thing we can really dive into, because I was the same exact way. But again, having Avery and having a bunch of responsibilities that come a little bit quicker than they traditionally do, I had to evolve. So again, we always walk in our purpose, but we're gonna take some short paths if we can.
Yeah. And I would say, like, another thing that really put me on the up and ladder for real was like when I started working with Brother May. So when I started working with Jeff May, it was like working with him and working with you was two basically like bullhorns. I ain't gonna lie, it was like two bullhorns coming at me, and I'm just like in the middle, like it's either I duck or I get hit and take it for what it is. And it was like every day working with him and working with you, it was something like I learned something new every day. And his way of teaching me was kind of like, I'm gonna teach you and I'm gonna guide you and do this and learn from this and take it for your own and turn it into what you want to turn it into. And that's kind of what I learned from him and seeing his style of mentoring, because he's real stern, but he was stern to the point where he can laugh and joke with the kids and they'll laugh and joke with him. But when he jumps back into that stern mode, then they know like, oh, like this is Pops right here. This is my uncle. This is my dad talking to me right now. Like, this ain't my friend. This ain't my mentor. This is like a figure right now. And your way of teaching that I learned for me, I guess from you, was like I told Jared, the front door method. So the front door method is what I teach, and I teach this even to my students now. Front door method is like, I'm gonna put you at this door to this great opportunity. I'm gonna knock at the door and I'm gonna Now what are you gonna do when that door opens? Either you gonna sit there and look around and try to find me, or you gonna talk to that person and they gonna let you in. And that's what I learned as far as like the two different styles of mentoring, like, and trying to build my own style. So now I guess my style now of mentoring is like, number one, like really figuring out who the person is, like who I'm really working with. You're not always gonna find that out in 2 days. You really not even gonna find that out in 2-3 months. Stuff like that really take years. But if you having that consistent conversation and building that connection with them, then it's gonna be easier to have those conversations and bridge that gap with them and get them to understand that life is way easier than you think it is.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just situations that we deal with, and the way that we deal with them is what makes them hard.
100%. Well, that front door method got me hollering, boy. When you start walking through, I'm like, yeah, no, definitely. And again, that's been my approach, because so many people talk a good game, bro. But like, how you gonna perform? Like, when ain't nobody watching and it's just you and the opportunity in front of you, how you gonna perform? And I'm a big believer in sometimes you just gotta make the connection. And that's really always my goal. Again, I always saw so much within you. I see how you maneuver around campus. I see how you got the inner finesse. Like, this is something you want to do. And again, we had numerous conversations to be like, yo, you show it. You said, let's get it. I said, cool. And I provided opportunity and I stepped away. And even to this day, when it comes to a lot of the mentees, this is how I personally see and really evaluate people. Again, a lot of people say, I got this experience. I'm great at this. I can relate. Cool. I'm going to introduce you to the Triller student I know, and I'm going to walk away. Right. And I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch. Now, if they eat you up and you sitting there, then this ain't for you. But if you hold your ground, you're able to build that rapport. That young buck come to me, yo, who is bro? Like, cool, let's get it. This is meant to be. And again, the work we do is different than a whole lot of other mentor groups. And I really want to clarify that because we just dealing with average students, man. And again, that's why you were really able to excel because you could relate to them. Half time you was finessing, they was thinking of a way to finesse you, you know, and vice versa. So, nah, man, kudos to you though. But that front door method, that is hilarious. I love it.
Hey, and speaking of the finesse, it was like plenty of times and moments too when you think about like working with students and stuff and mentoring where you really gotta finesse like your time, your schedule, like everything that you got going on. Sometimes it has to drop.
Definitely.
Question things that you got going on. So I guess like my question for you next is, what was it like as far as starting out roots in the school system and then taking it to the community and seeing it just blow up like outside of just the schools?
Nah, definitely. So to your point, we start off in the school system because of the relationship we had through the internship with Cumberland County Schools. So we're definitely able to build from that. But what I learned in the midst of COVID, you can't be dependent upon the school system to reach the. And the reason being, everybody's remote. Mentoring remote and mentoring in person is drastically different, right? So due to that, we were able to, again, leverage some people within our network and now start working with a couple of different, 3 different local cities as well. And we were able to create an executive team. So for me, man, really to answer your question, it was something I just had to sit down and internally look at. And again, with mentoring, you got to put your pride and ego aside, right? I realized we weren't making the impact in which we needed to, and we had to pivot, right? And that's what COVID did for a lot of people. Either you pivoted or you fell off, right? And I said, this has been here since 16. We're not about to let it die. So again, really had to dig deep into the endurance, but also sit down and really brainstorm with some of our counterparts. And again, now we're in the 3 different cities and we leverage a couple of churches, a rec center, and we're able to really build. But for me personally, bro, it's been huge. Because again, I think we are an actual testimony to what we tell our youth, right? You got to pivot. There's going to be hills. There's going to be valleys. It's all this good stuff. And we've been doing it in the background for forever and just really remaining humble throughout the whole process. I can really, man, I always feel like I had like the church calling to be up there in the pulpit. But like, this is my ministry, bro. Like, I love it. It's crazy because every time there's a hurdle or blockage, like, bro, I tap in with the Most High. I decompress for a little bit. And either I get a call or something else happen. Like, so I know this is the path in which I'm supposed to be walking and the impact that comes from it. And honestly, bro, anytime I get discouraged, bro, I just tap into like my old idea. I call it one of the young bucks from like the beginning. But we actually had one of our young bucks, the first class of mentoring, who came back and spoke at our retreat just recently, bro. Like, and they gave me chills and it was like, yo, this is why. Now those first line of mentees are transitioning to mentors. Mentors are transitioning to the executive team. The executive team transitions to the board. Bro, it's the ecosystem we created. We got little brothers, little sisters from the first time. So, bro, like it's way bigger than me. And that's how these different components were able to come together through the blood, the sweat. I ain't got too many tears, and I don't plan on it. But we're gonna keep pushing. So, yes, sir.
Yeah. So when we think about like, I want to jump back to the styles of mentoring and stuff, because we talked about this a little bit earlier too. When I guess for me, like working in the school system and stuff like that, working with the different grade levels, it's for me, some people say it's different ways that you have to work with a student, all depending on their grade level and their mindset.
Yeah.
But what I learned is it's not about the grade level, it's not about the mindset, it's about the individual. and then pulling those branches out and saying, all right, now it's the mindset, now is this, now is that. But I guess like with another style is, well, I say gap. Let's talk about gap. So one gap that I could say that I see, and for me being a male as a mentor, is like my way of doing it. A lot of older people don't agree with it. Like, so they say like, you're not stern enough, or you're not hard enough, or you're not tough enough on them. Like, but for me, it works for me. But my question is for you is like, do you feel like, or have you ever noticed like a gap in between like the styles of mentoring, or have you ever been approached about this?
Yeah, nah, 100%. I see it all the time. And again, that's why Roots was set up the way it was. The small gap allows the relatability. I think a lot of people just don't relate to their mentees. Like, you can't really call yourself a mentor if you don't relate to the people in which you're servicing, and if you don't meet them where they are. I've been in a lot of rooms. Matter of fact, I was in a session I had got invited to. I was a guest, right? But you know me, I ended up rapping with the kids towards the end. It was like, yo, you want to say something? So I definitely ended up closing them out. But just sitting back, listening to him, man, it was one kid who was really, really defiant. Ended up talking to him. It was a lot on his plate. He had a lot going on in the family, so it was obviously a reason to it. But this, let's say this brother, quote unquote, was talking down to this young buck, and like he was being defiant. So bro, like pulled up on him, like, what you want to do? Like, just being very excessive, like almost a militant component. And young buck really wasn't receptive to it at all. And what I realize is, again, when it comes to egos and mentoring do not go hand in hand. You cannot try to flex on nobody because they got you in their feelings. Like, you got to be able to take yourself outside of yourself and analyze yourself in the midst of analyzing them, right? And again, that's what we talked to a little bit earlier, as far as being able to be elevated within elevating others, because you got to hold yourself to those same standards. So this young buck this dude talking to the young buck about accountability and all these different components. And I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, bro, you ain't holding yourself accountable. Like, look how you approach, but so that's one thing I see a lot. And then to your point, older generations oftentimes just don't mix with these young bucks, right? It's a whole different thought process, philosophy behind the cultural influences, the society influences, the perspective. And one thing I like to tell these old heads is, yo, like, these young bucks weren't raised the same way you were, right? They've dealt with a whole lot more things. They got the internet at their fingertips. All these COVID babies like missed 3 or 4 grades level. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different for them. They have experienced things in which you could have never thought of, right? So you got to meet them where they are and not where you are, and expect that gap to be bridged by any means. So we're actually in the midst of talking about having a conversation. It'd be called Old Heads versus Young Bucks, right? But we can have a conversation where the old heads are asking young bucks, like, bro, why they all still sad? Like, why they, like, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. And that's something I'm really working to bridge, because I'm 26 years old, bro, but like, I feel like 32, 33 at least. You know what I'm saying? Just about, like, so I know you feel me, bro. I feel older, and I feel like I'm right in the middle where, I don't know, somebody text me some syllables, and bro, what does that mean? Like, I'm not there anymore. I listen to the same music I used to, but I'm not an old head just yet. So again, I think we're in a perfect position to bridge the gap between the two. But they gotta want to meet each other where they are, man. And that's the biggest thing. You can't talk down to somebody. You can't expect somebody to understand you when you're not trying to understand them. And
like you said, like, it come back to your experiences. Like, I've had a conversation with somebody that tried to I said straight up, I had a conversation with somebody who tried to mentor me. But what they failed to realize is, number one, excuse my language, I'm grown as hell. Like, I have my moments where it's just like, I understand that I'm not there yet. I'm still growing. I'm still climbing the ladder and stuff like that. I'm a teachable person. I'm going to always take advice for what it is. And it's never going to go in one ear and out the other. It's always going to stay in my mind, because even if it's not advice that I could use, I could give it to somebody else. Or I may be in another situation where I'll be like, damn, bro, I remember that time that Marcus said that. Now I know what to do. But it's like the conversation that we had was like, the way that he approached me was like, come here. Like, first of all, if we cool, and the moment that you want to jump ship and play stern, now I'm kind of confused. And that's basically what I was saying, like, going back to that, is you can't play those two different roles in the middle. if you want to do that, you got to do that in the beginning. So people can kind of not really feel you out, peep you out, but kind of see like where you coming from. So when you want to come off all hard and stern, they'll accept it. But when you come off friendly and buddy and stuff like that, and then you want to jump play this hard role, and then you want to sit somebody down, and basically he taught me about like what I was doing was wrong and things like that, and back in his day, and this is how he was mentored and how his coaches used to talk to him and stuff like that. But it's just like, bro, that was back in like I ain't trying to be funny. That was like back in like the 60s. Like, like that was like back in like the 60s, 70s. So it's just like your coaches and the way that they coached you and mentored you. Okay, of course it had to be that hard, stern stuff because you was playing football. But outside of that, you can't do that to everybody. I guess is what I was trying to get at with that one.
I wanna address that though, because you said two things, right? One, I don't think it was the fact that you're grown as hell and you don't want to be mentored. It was his approach. Because again, like to your point, you are very coachable, you're very teachable. If there's somebody who has something that you're working to attain, you will definitely be open to the mentorship. But it was his approach. It really deterred you from wanting to engage with him. And again, that's not meeting somebody where they are. You also mentioned another component about meeting, kind of like switching up, right? Introducing as buddy and then pivoting to. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you. I think you can. And the reason I said it is there's been specific situations with young bucks, right? Well, cool. Oftentimes, for instance, working with upper bound, all of them call me Uncle Marcus. Like we would lock in, and that was kind of like an inner joke. I'm Uncle Marcus. I'm the cool big brown, the cool uncle. We're gonna vibe. There was a situation where I sat back and I was watching something, and the kid lied on another kid, and I had to get his butt. And that was the first time any of them ever saw Uncle Marcus turn into Pops. You know what I'm saying? And I was very stern with the fashion in which I disciplined him, but it was to set a standard. Say, look, I'm cool, but the second you disrespect, the second you lie, the second XYZ occurs, you're gonna get this other side. Are we clear? Cool. Bet. Grab that Uncle Marcus. Now I'm good. We cool. We got it out of the way. As long as it doesn't happen again, we aren't gonna have any problems. And even with mentorship, you have to draw that line. That line needs to be there. If it's we talk in between this time, if it's hey, you missed our third call, what's up? Because I'm overly engaged into this and you aren't, I'm not getting the reciprocation, or if it's just discipline. Like this is what I'm accepting, this is what I'm not. I think it is very vital to be able to kind of play those dual roles. And I don't think it always has to be expressed in the beginning. But one thing I'm big on, even when it comes to speaking, engagement and respect. Those are two things that I need. Like I'm doing this for y'all on your behalf. I need to reciprocate it. Are we in a line? Cool. Bet. Let's move forward. It's just setting the standards.
So another thing, and I guess like two more, and then we're gonna wrap up. So, because my iPad about to die.
You good?
So another important component that we talk about as far as like being a great mentor is consistency. So for me, without consistency, you can't really call yourself a mentor. Because for me, the difference between mentoring programs that I see when I was coming up in like elementary school and stuff like that versus R.O.O.T.S was like most of these mentoring programs, they probably came to the school like once every other month. They did like a celebration activity with us on like a weekend or something like that, invite your family out, and we'll do like a informational session about events and stuff within the community. And they'll probably come do like, give us lunch one day, or we'll have like a field day and then they'll come in and be volunteers. So that style of mentoring was like, it wasn't consistent for me. So it's like, who can I really count on when I really need somebody to go to? So I don't have like, you don't have to have an individual person to really go to and count on, but as long as you have like multiple people, but all of that comes back from having that consistency with that student, letting them know like, I might not be here this week, but if you need me, call me. That's consistency versus I'm here this week and now I'm not coming back till like a whole nother month, 2 months later. And now when I see you, it's, oh, what's up, man? Yeah, let's talk, let's catch up and stuff like that. And we're gonna talk and we're gonna catch up. But it's different having that conversation with that 2 month gap versus like that 2 day or that 2 week gap. So I guess for you, what does consistency mean when it comes to being a great mentor?
I mean, one of me is accessibility. Like all my jits have my number. If something is really going on, they know they can hit me. But to your point, it also just the consistency as far as like being that presence. Um, our youth have so many negative influences around them that are consistently present. So being, that light that could be there frequently, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not every day, but on a frequent basis, that's a huge component. And then really, it just means you can't hold somebody accountable if you aren't consistent with them, right? And what I mean by that is, if me and you are supposed to go to the gym every day, and I'm at the gym every day, and I'm calling your phone like, cool, like I can hold you accountable, but it's through that consistency. If we check in once a month and I'm asking you what's going on, there's a lot of days in between where you could have detoured from a lot of different things. So even if I'm checking in with your mom, I'm checking in with grandma, I'm hitting the teacher, like I'm still being consistent in the mentorship, even if it isn't that direct point of contact. But it's just beyond vital, man, because so many other things in our life aren't consistent. So how can you deviate yourself from the rest if you look just like
Mm. And that's a hard hit, because like you said, back to the thing about having all your students having like your phone numbers and stuff like that, when they have somebody that they can go to directly, that makes life, I feel like life situations a lot better for certain people, because a lot of people have friends, they have families who say like, you can count on me, you can depend on me. But sometimes being adolescent, you go through things where you don't want to tell your family or your friend or somebody like that, because you're afraid of the way that they might judge you, or you're afraid that the advice that they're going to give you may not be the advice that you want to hear or you think that they're going to give you. So that's when mentoring comes in, where I can turn to somebody who doesn't really fully know me, but understands me. And having that consistency with them is what brings in that understanding and that knowledge of saying like, hey, this is somebody that I can turn to.
it's that safe space, it's that outlet. To your point, my pops would always tell me stuff and I didn't retain it. I'm just like, bro, like you my dad, like you go like, you know what I'm saying? I just wasn't trying to receive it. But I would go and I would sit with my uncle and he would say the same thing, but he would word it differently and the approach was so much different and it hit me. And in the midst of me getting, I'm like, cool, that makes sense. But then I would click like, damn, that's what my pop said. Like, so, so everything came together, but it needed to be said from a different perspective, a different lens, a different tone of voice. And I was able to receive it. And that's what a mentor is.
So to end out, what is next for R.O.O.T.S mentoring, Jenkins Empowerment? Like, let us know what is next on the map for you.
Definitely. So the R.O.O.T squad, the executive team, been holding stuff down. My college leadership is fire. So honestly, what they about to do next, I'm gonna keep it hush because it's really gonna be them. When it comes to Jenkins Empowerment, whole lot more keynote speaking, a whole lot more leadership development, a whole lot more summits, a whole lot more collaborative spaces for growth. And that does go hand in hand with R.O.O.T because, again, I know we have a whole lot more partnerships coming into play. One of our recent ones was Fayetteville Stingers, right? So being able to actually have our field day and have some professional or semi-pro basketball players come out, engage with the kids, let them know it's not too far out of reach. It's definitely going to be spot on. We have our field day on the 17th of June. We got our gala coming up in July. Again, we got some new board members coming in, some new fresh blood, new fresh minds. Honestly, man, it's limitless. It's nothing too crazy I'm gonna speak on just yet, but I would just ask y'all, stay posted. And you can follow us at R.O.O.T.S Mentoring on IG. You can also tap in with us on the website at rootsmentoring.net. So I'm gonna make sure I drop all that. You'll have all that information as well.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hey man, we appreciate you, and we got to do some more talking after this episode, because we're gonna see if we can go ahead and try to do another expansion and bring it down here to Greensboro, Winston area, because we've been talking about it for a while, but now I'm really on a ship where it's like I'm really serious about expanding out as far as what I've been doing as far as teaching, coaching, mentoring, and stuff like that, and really drawing back to my central place. And I felt like that's really what R.O.O.T.S was for me. And that's why I got up every morning, why I went to class, because I had to be that leading example. And now I feel like me growing and maturing and the things that I've been going through lately and moving into this house, getting this new job, being with my girlfriend now for 3 years, my life has changed since I graduated. Not gonna lie, like my life has changed, but really I felt like R.O.O.T.S was that central home place for me. And now I feel like it's time to bring it back to another home for me. So
get it. You already know what's up, man. We here for it.
hey, let's do it then. And we're gonna get you back on another episode too. Hey, and we gotta get Brother May on here too.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him following this. We got our board meeting tonight, so I'm gonna let him know.
Perfect. Well, tell him I said that we need him on here, and we a little three-way conversation that we need to have about this other stuff going on too. So yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you. Well, as always, people, this is the end of Talk to Me Talk Show, and we will see you again. Talk to me.